So we're gonna call this free agency weekend because obviously Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we weren't able to record, and anything that we reported about Friday, anything that wasn't reported, that was after we recorded. So we're gonna talk about that now. So you know what, Nate? Let's start off with Anthony Harris. Okay, so former Minnesota Vikings safety Anthony Harris is signing a 1 year, $5 million deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. This is reported by Adam Schefter. Let me tell you something, Nate. This is a very good pickup by the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been in need of a defensive backfield for a very, very long time. I just really since Ronald, I want to say last good corner. I want to say it was Ronald Darby. I think that was like the last decent corner they had, probably Ronald Darby. And honestly, after that, Malcolm Jenkins obviously was a very good safety, but after them, I don't think that cornerback group or that safety group has been good. So adding Anthony Harris, who was a guy who led the league or led the league in interceptions 2 years ago with 6 interceptions. He had a very good campaign in 2018 or 2019, I believe it was 2019. He had a very good campaign in 2019. He was tied with Tre'Davious White and Stephon Gilmore for the most picks in a regular season. They ended up getting eliminated. Gets a pick in the playoffs. He had 7 picks that year. So congratulations to him on that amazing year. 2020, he kind of took a little bit of a downhill. Vikings released him, but I think this was a very good. I think this was a very good pickup by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they get a very good safety who can do a lot of good things. He's a very good tackler. He can pick off balls. Yeah, I mean, I think they got a very good safety here. I think the Philadelphia Eagles really hit big with Anthony Harris. It kind of covers a problem that they're having with defensive backs and safeties. Now, obviously, Philadelphia Eagle fans are looking. They probably don't know who this guy is, but I just want to say you guys are getting a very good player. He's a very, very good player. I think he's going to help the Philadelphia Eagles a lot. So with that being said, best of luck to Anthony Harris. I just want to say to him, thank you for everything you have done for my team, and I wish him the best of luck in Philadelphia. Now, Nate, going to the next guy, this is a guy I'm a very big fan of. Despite him being a Bear for a very long time, I am a very big fan of this guy. Kyle Fuller is signing a 1 year, $9.5 million deal with the Denver Broncos. Look, man, the Denver Broncos are making some pretty good moves this year. Obviously Kyle Fuller, I want to say that is probably the best move that they made, but they made I believe we reported on one more guy. I can't remember who it was though. You gotta help me
Justin
out here.
Simmons.
Justin Simmons, thank you. Yep, they re-signed him, which I thought was pretty big. You add Kyle Fuller, I think they're really building good on that defensive backfield right there. Kyle Fuller had obviously I want to say Kyle Fuller is a very underrated corner. Um, I'm gonna look up his stats right now. Kyle Fuller, 2020, he averaged 52 tackles, one forced fumble, one interception, and 8 passes defended. Which, to me, honestly, that looks like a down year compared to other years that he had. I remember one year he also led the league in interceptions. But Kyle Fuller, I still think he's a pretty good cornerback, and I think that's really going to help the Denver Broncos. Obviously, not having Chris Harris. At one point, they had Chris Harris and Akeem Talib. Nate. They had a very, very good cornerback group, and then obviously Akeem Talib and Chris Harris are not there no more, so you got to rebuild it. And I think Kyle Fuller is a pretty good step. Kyle Fuller is a very young guy as well. He's 29 years old. Obviously, people could say that's old because he's hitting his 30s, but Kyle Fuller still got a lot of game left to play. And so, with that being said, I wish Kyle Fuller the best of luck in Denver. Congratulations on his contract, and I wish the Denver Broncos the best of luck. And last but not least, I'm gonna go to Phillip Lindsay. Nate, Phillip Lindsay is a guy that we forgot about. His rookie year undrafted, but he had a very good rookie year. And then after that, he just dealt with a lot of injuries. But Phillip Lindsay is signing a 1 year deal, or he signed a 1 year deal with the Houston Texans name. Now, we reported about Mark Ingram going to the Houston Texans as well, and that really helps their backfield. Now it's him and David Johnson. And then you add Phillip Lindsay. Personally, Nate, I think David Johnson is going to end up being pushed out. Either that or David Johnson is going to be the number 2, and Phillip Lindsay is going to be a backup. I don't know what's going to happen, but let me tell you something. I think Phillip Lindsay's talent is way too good for him to be a backup, to be honest with you. I think when Phillip Lindsay is extremely healthy, I think he can be a very, very good running back. And he proved it in his rookie year. The only problem is Phillip Lindsay is dealing with a lot of injuries every single year. And those injuries kind of catch up to him and it affects his play. But if Phillip Lindsay can stay healthy, I can definitely see Phillip Lindsay being a 1,000-yard running back. Now, a lot of people might call me crazy for that, but I don't think it's crazy at all. He's done it, but he can definitely do it again. So, I mean, with that being said, I wish the Houston Texans the best of luck. I wish Phillip Lindsay the best of luck. Congratulations on his new contract in Houston. and I wish them the best of luck. And those are my free agency picks, and I'll give it to you, Nate.
Yeah, I won't say much on the first two. I won't say much on them at all. I wish him the best of luck moving forward. I want to just get to the thing where you said about David Johnson being pushed out. I think that's what's going to end up happening here because we all remember how the Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals in favor of David Johnson, and that trade was being literally justified, which I don't know how you do that. But obviously, of course, there was a lot of promise around David Johnson that just never happened. And he's another guy that's been riddled with injuries too. So who knows? I really do think David Johnson's going to be pushed out the door. And I do hope Phillip Lindsay does stay healthy in Houston because if you're going to push out David Johnson, have to deal with injuries. And if Phillip Lindsay comes into town and he gets injuries, to me, it's almost like you never replace that spot at all. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I do hope Phillip Lindsay stays healthy. I do wish everybody here the best of luck moving forward. Um, now let me get to my first free agent signing. Chris Carl. Well, actually, it's a re-signing. Chris Carlson is being re-signed by the Seattle Seahawks on a 2-year, $14.625 million deal, and this was reported by Tom Pelissero. Uh, yeah, man, I think this is something the Seahawks really need. And I don't know what other not wide receiver, running backs they got. I know they got Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf as receivers. And obviously, of course, you got
Yeah.
Russell
They
Wilson.
have Fred Homer,
Yeah,
who's done like a couple good things, like a few good things this year, but like I just can't see Fred Homer being a franchise running back.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. But so I really think the Seahawks should really consider either drafting a running back or going out and get one. Now, obviously, of course, we all know the big deal with the Seattle Seahawks. What's their biggest problem? You could argue it's the defense. Me personally, I think it's the offensive line. I think I think the offensive line on that team needs a lot of work. Just like the Kansas City Chiefs. Only the difference between the Seahawks and the Chiefs that the Chiefs actually have a decent defense. But with that being said, I think it's a good thing that the Seahawks re-signed Chris Carlson. I know that's one of their many woes right now. They don't really have a good running game. They don't have a good offensive line. They don't have as good of a defense as they should have had. So they're going to be. I imagine they're going to be working in those categories. So with that being said, best of luck to Chris Carlson in Seattle, and best of luck to the Seattle Seahawks. Now let me get to the next one. Uh, the New York Giants have signed Kenny Golladay from the Detroit Lions on a 4-year, $72 million deal. And this was reported by Rap Sheet. So, yeah, Mario, I think I think the Giants are building towards the future. It's obviously going to take a long time because the New York Giants have been a relatively mediocre franchise for quite a while now. After that 2016 playoff run, it just kind of went downhill from there for the New York Giants, and they really haven't been doing anything ever since. So adding Kenny Gallaudet, I've I've seen flashes of this kid. He's actually a very underrated wide receiver. Obviously, of course, he's underrated because of the team he played for, the Detroit Lions. Now, I'm sorry to break you Detroit Lions fans' hearts out there, but y'all team sucks. So obviously, whatever team player you got, that's why a lot of people say Matt Stafford sucks. It's because of the damn franchise he was playing for. So you know what I mean, and I think it's the same case with Kenny Galladay. And I hope he has a great time in New York. I wish him the best of luck with the Giants, and I wish the Giants the best of luck. Now let me get to the last one. I remember reading this and I'm like, what? The Rams the Rams acquired DeSean Jackson. Now this one doesn't really have any contract information. We don't know how many years he is or how big the contract is money wise. I do know that this was reported by Chris Segala. I think that's how you see that. He's a part of the Associated Press. I do wish Deshaun Jackson congratulations, but I don't know about this Mario. I'm not. I mean, obviously he's a veteran. He's a Super Bowl champion. I think is he was he on that team with the Eagles or no? He wasn't. No, so he's not a Super Bowl champion. Okay, my bad then. Still has that veteran presence though, which is good. But I don't know, Mario. The last couple of years, Deshaun Jackson hasn't been Deshaun Jackson. At least for the last couple of years, that is. I'm not. And who's to say that he can't turn it around? He definitely can in Los Angeles, but I don't know, Mario. This is one that I scratch my head and I'm just like. This is something that I thought personally. I thought Deshaun Jackson's career was over. You and I said it. He might retire right now. He might play for a couple more years. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think this is something I'm gonna have to watch to see for myself. I don't really have a. I don't really have a clear like this is good or this is bad as of right now. But right now, I'm still kind of scratching my head on it. But with that being said, I do wish DeSean Jackson the best of luck in Los Angeles. I do wish the Rams the best of luck, and I'm excited to see how it goes. And I'll give it on to you now. Muted. Are you muted?
Sorry. Chris Carson had a very slow year. I mean, first of all, congratulations on his extension. Obviously, they want to really keep Chris Carson because they believe he can be a very, very good running back. And I believe that 2018, 2019, he was a very good running back. He had 1,000 yards rushing each time. He had 11 touchdowns in 2019. He had 5 in 20. Oh, excuse me. I'm saying I'm looking at I'm looking at Kenny Galladay's. My bad. I got the wrong stats. But in 2018, 2019, he had over 1,000 yards rushing. Uh, 2018 he had 9 TDs. 2019 he had 7. But then you go to 2020 and he had 141 rushes for 681 yards. He averaged 4.8 yards a carry, which is pretty good. And he had 5 TDs. So if you look at 2020 compared to 2019, 2018, it was a very off year for him. And and again, I'm not, the reason why I don't give him a pass on 2020 is because NFL's 2020 was not the same as NBA's 2020 or MLB's 2020. You know, you didn't
Yeah.
have a short season. You didn't have a short season. It was obviously a difficult season, but you didn't have a short season. And the other thing is, though, I want to say this. I don't think it was Chris Carson's fault. I think that the Seahawks kind of focused more on a passing offense, which ended up kind of limiting his possessions. But here's the problem I have with this signing, Nate. Okay. If you're going to continue keeping this system, right, of a pass heavy offense, when will we ever see Chris Carson becoming 1,000-yard running back again? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to keep
Right.
Tyler
Right.
Lockett and DK Metcalf, which rightfully so, they're very good wide receivers. Chris Carson, when's he going to be that type of guy to produce 1,000 yards? You know what I'm saying? Which means he's going to have to even work harder to get those yards because he'll have less possessions, if that makes any sense to you. I mean, I wish him the best of luck on his extension, but honestly, Nate, I think the Seahawks and Chris Carson would have been better if they would have let him walk and go to a different team that would have, used him more effectively. Now, does it mean that the Seahawks can't use him in a run game? No, they can absolutely use him in the run game, and he can absolutely go back to being a 1,000-yard running back. But it's all about what that Seahawks offense has in store for him. If it's going to be the same offense as last year, don't expect a 1,000-yard Chris Carson because you're not going to get it. If it's if it's kind of like a different offense, if they shift a little more towards a running game, then that's the offense that we like to see for Chris Carson, where it exposes the way he plays. It shows what he's capable of as a running back. Because I think honestly, if you use him in the right system, he can be a very, very dangerous running back. Okay, dude's obviously big. He's obviously a power back. He runs forward, and he's a very hard guy to tackle. So I mean, looking at him having that down year was really like disappointing. And I had him on fantasy too, and towards the end it was kind of disappointing as well. But it's not. I don't think it was Chris Carson's fault. I just think you need to put him in the right system. So with that being said, congratulations to him on his new extension, on staying with the Seattle Seahawks, and I wish him and the Seattle Seahawks the best of luck. Now going to Kenny Gallaudet again. My apologies for reading the wrong stats. I was on Kenny Galladay's stats, but going to Kenny Galladay's stats now. Again, another guy who kind of had a little bit of a downhill season. Now, was it his fault? No, he was dealt with injuries. He only played 5 games. But in those 5 games, he had 338 yards. He averaged 16.9 yards per catch, and he had 2 TDs. But 2018 and 2019, he had 1,000 yards receiving. 2019, he had 11 touchdowns. 2018, he had 5. But let me tell you something, Nate. I think this money was definitely earned for Kenny Gallaudet. When Kenny Galladay's
I
healthy, I
agree.
think he's a very, very good wide receiver. Very good. Him and Marvin Jones, say what you want, but they were a pretty underrated duo. Those two would wreak havoc on a team. Despite how bad the Lions defense was, because I want to say the worst part about the Lions were their defense. As bad as that defense was, Kenny Gallaudet and Marvin Jones were absolutely amazing. I want to Kenny Jones and Marvin Gallaudet, dude, they just wreaked havoc on the field. They just, they were a cornerback's nightmare. And for Kenny Gallaudet, obviously they're going to be broken up now because they're both not going to be with the Lions no more. But for Kenny Gallaudet to go to the Giants, let me tell you something. The Giants are starting to make moves, Nate. They're starting to make moves. You look at Kyle Rudolph. You look at Kenny Gallaudet. You look at their re-signing of Leonard Fournette. They're making moves, Nate. And we talked about it with the Washington football team. And I still believe the Washington football team is going to be the team to win that division. but the New York Giants are not far behind from them, you know? I believe it's going to come down to those two teams again, Washington football team and the New York Giants. That's what I think it's going to come down to. One of those two teams. Why? Because that's the team. Those are the teams that are making moves in the free agency. Now, there's one more part of this whole thing that'll determine it, and that's called the NFL draft name. Who do you get in that draft that's going to really help you? But I mean, as of now, Nate, in my opinion, the favorites to win the NFC East is the Washington football team, but the New York Giants are not far behind them whatsoever. So, I mean, with that being said, congratulations to Kenny Gallaudet on his extension. Absolutely deserved it. And I wish him and the New York Giants the best of luck. And then last but not least, Nate, DeSean Jackson. Look, man, most likely DeSean Jackson is getting a 1 year minimum because this is not the same DeSean Jackson. Now, again, first of all, congratulations on him signing with the Los Angeles Rams. I think that him going back to the Philadelphia Eagles, I think that was definitely the right move for him when it happened because Philadelphia was the team that kind of basically drafted him and kind of, brought him up as a player when he was in his prime. So for him to go back, obviously that must have been some kind of like vindication for him. Like I'm back with the team that, that basically uh, grew me as a player. But now you're going to the Los Angeles Rams. Let me tell you something, Nate. I can't really see a lot of opportunity for DeSean Jackson on the Rams. When you look at the wide receiver class, when the wide receiver group that they have, when you look at Cooper Kupp, when you look at Everett, when you look at
Robert Woods.
Reynolds, they have a
Robert,
very good wide receiver group. They have a
Robert
very good
Woods is there too. Don't forget about that.
Robert Woods. Thank you. Yeah, Robert Woods. They have a very, very good receiving group. And the question is, what do you put DeSean Jackson in this? Um, so I mean, DeSean Jackson obviously going to the Los Angeles Rams. I think this is a sign that this is DeSean Jackson's last like stint in the NFL. I think we're gonna see retirement pretty soon from DeSean Jackson. If not, he's just gonna be bouncing around from team to team, and it's something that we really don't want to see, you know. But with that being said, congratulations to DeSean Jackson. I hope that somehow he can research his career because when he was in his prime, he was absolutely a baller. He was one of the fastest wide receivers in the game. He was absolutely one of the most skilled wide receivers in the game, a very big piece to his team. And I hope that someday he can get back to, I hope that sometime he can get back to that type of play. But to be honest, Nate, going to the Rams, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But with that being said, I wish DeSean Jackson the best of luck and the Los Angeles Rams the best of luck.